of other people, and they have been speaking up, and it's important that they do so. I issued guidance making clear that the right to freedom of worship does not end at the door of a public school. Public schools are in tremendous trouble. And I was the first and only president to convene a meeting at the United Nations to end religious persecution worldwide. No other president has ever brought it up.
Amen.
As president, I stood proudly with our friend and ally, the state of Israel. I did more for Israel,
Right.
they said, than any other.
Stand with Israel.
I kept my promise, recognized Israel's eternal capital,
Amen.
Jerusalem, and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem.
That's cool.
And I tell the story that sometimes, I don't know, it's maybe more of a good business story, but a general stood before me with something to sign, executive order, because I had won that battle. And it was a bill, essentially, for $2 billion to build an embassy in Jerusalem. And I said, General, what is this for? Sir, this is to build an embassy in Jerusalem. I said, this says $2 billion. How can you spend $2 billion on, like, I envisioned it as a one-story building, right? Nobody in this room, if you're in the real estate business, would spend quite that much. Maybe you'd spend like $2. But I said, how can you ask for $2 billion? Well, that's what they told. By the time you buy the land, sir, and you build the building and everything else, it's going to cost $2 billion. So I called up our ambassador and I said, David, see if there's something we have there already. We own a lot of land in Jerusalem. Do we have a great piece? And maybe it has like a little building on it where we can fix it up real cheap and we can... See, I'll always be in the real estate business, you know. I'll always love that business, and I love that business. We did great in that business. That's a great business, but very creative. And I said, see what you have. They called me back 2 days later and said, sir, we have a fantastic site. We've owned it for many, many years. You know, we were there sort of like early on first. We have a great site, and there's a building on it that's been essentially abandoned, but it's a very strong structure. And we think we could fix it up and get it open very quickly. I said, how does it compare with the site that we're going to buy, that they want to buy for a ridiculous amount of money? By the way, that particular person who owned that site is not happy with me, I can tell you. That is not a person. We're going to pay hundreds of millions of dollars for this site. So I said, what do you think of the building? Well, I think we could fix it up. So they called me back a week later. I sent some people over. He said, sir, we can build a new embassy for $400,000. I said, let me ask you a question. It's the only time I ever said this. I said, listen, it sounds too cheap. We got to make it more. No, it actually sounded, I never did that. Usually I'll say, make it 200,000. I said, we got to make it more. It doesn't sound right. But a friend of mine in a big building in Manhattan has beautiful white stone, beautiful beige and white stone opposite his elevator bank. And every time I go into that building, he says, now he says president, but he used to say, Donald, look at the stone, it's so beautiful. And after saying it to me like 12 times, I said, what is it? He said, it's Jerusalem stone. It's so beautiful, very, very expensive. He's a very rich guy. He talks about the cost of stone, right? That's why he's rich, I guess, right? But he said, it's so beautiful, and I'm so proud of it. Jerusalem stone. So now I'm sitting here talking about building something in Jerusalem, and we're going to do a renovation of an existing building. And I said, listen, can we wrap that building in Jerusalem stone? Is it expensive? He says, absolutely not. We're in Jerusalem. We can buy it for free. So the whole building is made out of Jerusalem stone.
That's funny.
Good.
All right.
But I did something else. And we got it built. You know, that thing would have never been built, the $2 billion building, but it would have been years and years and years. And you might not have, they probably would have ended the whole concept of even moving the embassy to Jerusalem. It would have. So we got it built, and there's no reason to do any better because it's really a beautiful embassy, one of our nicest embassies, I think. But someday they'll come along and say, let's waste billions of dollars and do it the way we originally planned. But it's a great embassy, and I was very proud to do it. But we did something else that they weren't even asking for. The most pro-Israel people weren't even asking. I recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights.
Amen.